Welcome to Corbin's Coasters and More. I'm Corbin. Today we're at Islands of Adventure. Well, technically we're in the parking garage at City Walk, and that is the first thing you should know is that to get into either Islands of Adventure, Universal's Volcano Bay, or Universal Studios Florida, you have to first come to City Walk. Unless you're staying at one of their luxury resorts, then there are other ways to get there. But if you're just a normal person staying in a normal hotel or living here, driving here, you have to go through City Walk first, which is basically a big restaurant mall, shopping, restaurants, and it is a long walk to get there. That's the first thing you should really know, is it's a long walk to get to the parks. It's a long walk to get back from the parks. Also, if it is busy at all, if it is a holiday, if it is a weekend, a Saturday, make sure you get here early unless you have a dated ticket. So especially during the pandemic, they have a limited capacity. And with that limited capacity, it means that they're allowing less people in, and that on busy days, they are hitting that capacity almost every day. For the last 2 weeks, they have hit it every day except Easter Day, I think, in at least the 2 theme parks. And today, the water park is already at capacity. Volcano Bay hit capacity, it's 10 a.m. on a Thursday. So, as you can imagine, it's going to be pretty busy. And I'm just hoping to get in. Yesterday, I tried to come. I was here around noon, and it was too late. I could not get in, especially with my season pass. Now, I will say, if you are coming and you know what day you're coming, buy a single day dated ticket. They are more expensive. But if you're coming on a busy day, especially in 2021 when it's still the pandemic time, if you're just coming for a day or two, buy single day dated passes where they actually say, you know, I'm coming on September 6th or I'm coming on June 7th. Because then, even if they're at capacity, you are allowed to come in. Or, even if you have a multi-day pass or a season pass, if you are staying in one of their resorts, one of Universal Studios resorts, not a partner hotel, but one of their resorts, then you can get in regardless of them being at capacity. I guess that's calculated into their overall allowed capacity. But if you have just a multi-day pass or a season pass and they are at capacity, you will not get in. And when it reaches capacity, they do usually open it back up. It usually opens up around 5 or 6 o'clock. Today they close at 10. A lot of times they close at 6 o'clock. Make sure you look that up before you come as well. On weekdays, it is common for the parks to close at 5, 6, or 7 o'clock. Volcano Bay closes at 5 every day right now, so the hours are a little more limited than you might be used to if you've been here before COVID-19. Another thing, obviously, they're going to monitor masks. I've come here with some people that did not realize how much the mask police are out here. I'm in the parking garage before security right now, so I'm fine. But definitely gonna have to put a mask on, and you have to keep it on at all times. They do have people working around the park, specifically enforcing mask rules, specifically enforcing social distance, which the social distance rules did just go down from 6 feet to 3 feet, I guess, from the CDC. So they changed their markers in lines from 8 feet apart to 5 feet apart, so that everybody is spaced as much as the CDC says. The masks are required. You cannot eat and drink while you're walking. That is one of the rules here. You will get quote unquote yelled at. Usually they're very nice about it, but you'll get yelled at if you try to drink or eat while walking. If you want to take your mask off and drink or eat, you have to either be sitting down or you have to be standing stationary. There are signs all around the park for it, but I came with friends last week and none of them really knew that was going to be a rule. So know before you come here that between here and Disney, I've been to Six Flags parks, SeaWorld parks, Disney, and Universal since the pandemic. Universal is the most strict, I would say, about the mask wearing. Not as much about social distance anymore, but the mask wearing for sure. Universal strict about it. So if that's something you don't want, maybe you should wait till next year to come. But I will say it is still a lot of fun. So we're about to go through security at City Walk, and they do check your temperature before you get there, and then you go through security and then through City Walk. So let's go. So it looks like I'm gonna change plans, and I'm not going to Islands of Adventure, because Islands of Adventure is at capacity. It is 10:27 a.m. And they must have just hit capacity, because when I was parking, which was probably 10 minutes ago, it was not at capacity. So that's fun. So here is already the line for the standby entrance. Probably not really a good idea to stand there right now, as since they just hit capacity at 10:30 a.m. I can't see many people leaving the park anytime soon. Like I said earlier, when it hits capacity, a lot of the time it reopens around 5 or 6 in the afternoon. So the good thing about these two parks, if you didn't know, they are both right beside each other. You can see one from the other in a lot of places. So it's not like Disney where you have to take transportation to and from the different parks, and you may not be able to get into others. Here, first of all, right now here, if you want to park hop, you can park hop if you have a park hopper pass. A park to park pass is what they call them at Universal. Or if you have a season pass, it is good for park to park. If you upgrade to a 3 park, it does include Volcano Bay. No, that one is a bus ride to get to. It's the same parking garage, but you do have to ride a free bus to get there. But the 2 theme parks, Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida, are both right here in the same spot. So plans got changed. I really wanted to show something in Islands of Adventure today, so maybe I'm gonna see if I can get over there via either the walking path or the Hogwarts Express, which the Hogwarts Express is always open, usually a long line. The walking path, they open sometimes on busy days to alleviate some of that train, and I've actually never been through it anyway, so I would love to. We'll see if they're allowing park to park, even though one park is at capacity. I've never seen one at the capacity and the other not, so this is interesting and all new to me. So we'll see if we can get into Universal Studios Florida. So here's the deal. The walking path was not open. I'm not shocked, because they're probably trying to keep as many people in this park as possible. And with the train running, they're bringing in people that are coming out. So I am about to wait 50 minutes, so it says, to take the train over to Hogsmeade in Islands of Adventure. And then I will start at the front of the park there once that happens. Now, this is something you should know about either park, Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida. You must have a park-to-park ticket or a season pass in order to ride the Hogwarts Express either direction. It is a transportation ride. It actually physically takes you from one park to the other. So there's no way to ride it if you don't have a ticket to both parks. That's very important because most of the deals Universal gives, like the buy 4 parks for the price of 2, that kind of stuff, is usually for single park admission. Now they do have a spot in line where you can upgrade your pass, but it is not at any discount. It's the same price whether you buy it here, whether you buy it online in advance, and it's not cheap. It's not worth it if you just want to ride the train, because the train's an okay ride, but it's not thrilling at all. It is themed well to Harry Potter, and it's cool, but it's not worth the $60 or $70 you'll have to spend per person to ride it, unless you're actually needing a park-to-park pass. I've always said on a busy day, absolutely don't splurge for the park-to-park, because you're going to have enough to do in one park. When it's busy, you're not going to be able to do it all in one day in one park, so there's no need to have that park-to-park. But it's one of those things that maybe just eventually, maybe if you come on a slow weekday, you know, in the fall, maybe you get a day slow enough where you can do almost everything in one day, especially if you get an express pass and a park-to-park. And then your one-day park pass will cost as much as a 2 or 3, but you're getting it all done anyway. So that's my suggestion if you really want to ride that, or, and I'll have another video on this, just buy a season pass if you're coming here long enough, and that might be worth it to you. So I'm going to have a video eventually of comparing a multi-day ticket versus just buying a season pass, especially for Florida residents. All right, I'll see you on the other side. So I rode the train over. It ended up being about a 70-minute wait instead of the 50-minute wait that was listed. That's kind of common on the trains because they don't know how big the party sizes are. That is one of the few rides that's still limited capacity. It is one party per little train booth, regardless of the size of your party, unless of course it's too big and you need 2. They seat up to about 8 people per booth, probably more if you have kids. Maybe less for larger boats, but they kind of just load in the cabins and see what but only one party per cabin right now. That noise is Hagrid's roller coaster next door. We'll go over that later. And in the spirit of Harry Potter, I'm going to apparate to the front of the park. The adventure begins in the shopping area. I don't even know if there's a name to this park, but it is where, you know, like most theme parks, you can get your candy, you can get your souvenirs. There's a shop that sells souvenirs from all the different themes in the park. And that'll be the last place we go. We'll zoom through here to the first section of the park. So this is a U-Rest area. There are several of these throughout the park, mostly in larger areas that are easier to spread out. There are no mask police in this area. You can go without your mask. And this is actually one of the best areas where you can see the entire park. You can see almost every single island from here. Black coaster, that's the new Velocicoaster coming out very soon, just in a couple months. You got the Harry Potter Castle in Hogsmeade. You got Dr. Seuss Land. You got the area near Poseidon's Fury, that's Mythos Restaurant, Popeyes and Bluto's Barges, the Hulk, all within view. So it's a really cool little spot, especially at nighttime, to get your last picture or your first picture. The wait times again, it's 10:30 in the morning on a Thursday. And already you see that 105 minutes, 75 minutes, 40, 50, 85, 75. Wow. Just the waits are so long, so early. I probably won't be riding anything today. Hey, maybe the rapids. First land you walk into, if you go clockwise, which is usually how I hit theme parks, just because most people do the opposite. Actually, I'd say at this park, most people actually do go clockwise. The first thing you get to is the incredible Hulk coaster in Marvel's Superhero Island. This is definitely one of the loudest areas of the park, not in a bad way. There's just a lot of noise, a lot of motion, as it is the comic book area based on Marvel comic books. This is definitely one of the best rides in the park. One of my favorite to ride and re-ride, especially if you get a chance to night ride it. It's all lit up real nice. You go down in the tunnel right there and it's got smoke coming out. I will eventually do a video highlighting the rides and grading them and ranking them. For right now, we're just gonna kind of take a tour through Universal. So this is actually themed to look like you are inside of a comic book, all the way down to the simple names like arcade and pretzels, and the fonts of the words. Everything looking two-dimensional instead of three. Absolutely intentionally. This has been here since the day the park opened, back in 1999. And if you want a short wait, this ride, Dr. Doom's Fearfall, almost always has the shortest wait in the park outside of Cat in the Hat. Sometimes even less than Cat in the Hat. It is one of the eeriest rides, especially inside of the queue. But there are even splat marks from where superheroes have fallen from his tower. There are no great food and drink options here. This one is specifically in Marvel Superhero Island. This is more about the rides, the shops as well. You can actually find some autographed merchandise in some of these stores. If you're a fan of Marvel, you'll want to come in here and see some of this concept art and signed photos. And they're not cheap either, and they are actually one of a kind. They sell out, so you'll see different things come and go. In general, even if you can't afford it, the merchandise in here is really cool to look at. And then they have normal stuff too, you know, your t-shirts and cups and mugs. There's a lot of stuff that is exclusive to Universal on Marvel though. So if you're a Marvel collector or you know someone that loves Marvel, there's great Christmas presents in here. And they have multiple shops. They have this one, they have the Spider-Man, the 5 and Dime. So there are plenty of places to buy cool merchandise. And this is something you should know. And this is in almost every theme park. A lot of people don't know it, but definitely in Universal parks, if you go anywhere with fountain sodas, which includes this hot dog stand, as well as the spot over there for snacks and fruit, you can get a free cup of ice water. You can get as many free cups of ice water as you want. They will not turn you down. They might roll their eyes, but it's free. Bottle of water is $5 here. A soda is about $4. So free water definitely does help out. One tip is they do have these refillable drink cups. They're not as good of a deal as they are in a lot of other parks. They're anywhere from $13 to $17 each, depending on how many you buy. And they're good for the entire day, completely free refills. So especially if you're sharing with a group, not horrible, I guess. I'm more of a water person when I'm in a theme park, but if you need soda or ices, it's actually the same price, whether you're getting an icy or sodas, and they have a lot of Coca-Cola freestyle machines. So it does make it more of a value. But then each day you come back, you can save that cup, and it is $10 a day per cup, regardless of how many you have, for another day. So that's where the value comes in, is if you're here for multiple days, they get cheaper once you already have the cup. The other major attraction in Marvel Superhero Island is the Adventures of Spider-Man. It's a 3D dark ride. It is one of the best dark rides in the world. Some people say the best. I think it's the second best dark ride in the park. And it usually does not have long waits. Right now, 40 minutes, which, given that it's completely at capacity today, that is not bad at all. If you find anything under an hour and you're near it and you want to ride it at all, jump in line if it's a sold out day. As I was saying earlier, most holidays are sold out. Most Saturdays do hit capacity. So make sure you hit those short lines. I have been looking at the app throughout the time I've been here. A lot of the lines are up to 100, 110 minutes, 120 even for Kong. So I personally don't wait in those lines. Even if I was only here once, I wouldn't wait in those lines because eventually they're gonna fluctuate. The only exception is in Universal Studios Florida, and that's the Gringotts ride. It never goes below 2 hours on a busy day. And, well, on this side, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, you don't even know how long the wait's gonna be. You get in a virtual queue and then you might still wait 1 to 2 or even more hours. And I would say that it is still worth it because it's the best ride in the park. So one thing they're doing here is they do have character interaction still. You are allowed to take socially distant pictures with them with your mask off. This is something, I don't know how recently they changed this, but they've been doing it for a while where they let you take your mask off and get a picture. Even with a worker standing there, they actually allow it. Next is Toon Lagoon. This is going to be water rides. And it is obviously themed so that you're in an old school comic strip. There are a lot of casual restaurants here. I have not eaten at any of them because none of them looked that great. Like over here you can get pizza, hamburgers, salad, ice cream, your standard theme park food. There are places in the park that I'll show you later where you can get really decent food, not at all that expensive of a price. These hamburgers are like $13 or $14 and are not good. I had one at I've had the burger at another restaurant in the park. They're definitely not worth $13. Although I will say they do have Impossible burgers. And my friend eats those and he said that is the way to go with the value. And it makes sense because Impossible burgers can only be so bad. They're all the same regardless of where you get them. And they're about the same price. And you're getting basically a name brand that you know. Ice cream when they're open, about $4 for some soft serve. Expensive, but not really that bad for a theme park, truthfully. The prices really do vary here depending on where you are. If you're gonna get a really good deal on something, or you could get a really bad deal. They do have an entire store that I never even noticed, dedicated completely to Betty Boop. So again, I mean, they have a lot of places where really, like if you know someone who's into something, a lot of good places to go Christmas shopping here. Way early for that though. And then something else that a lot of people don't know about Toon Lagoon is that the pass holder lounge, there's not an actual lounge in this park, but if you have a season pass and you want your monthly pin or your quarterly magnet, this is the place to go. Don't even know the name of the store because there's so many names all over it. That's the one that says Flash Gordon, Croc. So I am gonna go see if they have any magnets in stock right now. Normally, this would be the time where they have pass holder magnets every quarter. And the cashier said she doesn't know when they're coming, so they could not. This month's pin says bananas, bogeys, and rotten eggs and soap, for what it's worth. It's free, so I'll take it. So there are 2 rides in this area, and they will both get you very wet, especially Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Rat barges. This is a river rapids ride. See if we can get a view of it. Right now a 55-minute wait. That's not that bad for a warm day. It is not your standard rapids attraction. I suggest you look up a POV on this ride. It does get you drenched, but it is worth going on even if you don't really want to get wet. But again, you will for sure get wet. One of the best rapids rides I've been on. The only better one to me is in SeaWorld, right up the road. Yeah, you definitely can't see much of that ride. It's long too. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long. And just so you know, I said look up the POV. I'm not the guy for POVs because I don't have the equipment that definitely won't fall out of my hand, for one. And for two, they don't allow it, and there's already plenty of videos of it online. So if I mention a POV, I'll probably try to find one that I like, and I'll put a link to it, help somebody else's channel out too. I will have footage, more and more footage of the outside of rides as time goes on. The other ride in Toon Lagoon is Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. If you don't know Dudley Do-Right, he's a Canadian Mountie in an old comic strip, and it's where Rocky and Bullwinkle got their start. So that's one that people are more familiar with. This is one of the fastest water rides anywhere. That drop really does get you. It's extremely steep, pretty tall, and the effects on the entire ride are just fun. About a 5-minute long ride. Definitely worth just about any wait when it's hot. This is one I say you could probably wait more than an hour and justify the wait. Because yeah, it'll have less wait time later, but it won't be, you know, the sun won't be out. So I'd rather ride while you can dry off while you're waiting on something else. Alright, I am now in the smallest section of the park. This is Skull Island, which is technically an island on its own. Got a very ominous feeling. That is actually the ride building that you go in. They did a very good job theming this. The ride itself, Skull Island, Reign of Kong, is pretty good. It's a nice creepy ride. It does get very long waits, so due to low capacity, they're seating every row, but they're not squeezing people together like they would on a normal day. Right now it's a 2-hour wait, and yeah, definitely not worth a 2-hour wait. But the queue alone is worth the ride. It's a nice creepy vibe in there. From what I'm told, they used to have scare actors to jump out at you in the queue, but they no longer do that, which I'm kind of okay with. Now here is where the food starts to get better. Welcome to Jurassic Park. They're still calling it Park, not World. Although the new ride is Jurassic World Velocicoaster, so it's a little combo. This Thunder Falls Terrace is definitely better than the previous restaurants in the other lands. This one has barbecue. It is not bad barbecue, and it's not a bad price. I think a half rack of ribs with sides is about $16, $17, which is barely more than the subpar hamburger that you saw earlier. So that's what I'm saying. Don't get the cheap food unless you have kids that are really picky. Don't get the cheap food, which really isn't that cheap. Get the better food that really isn't that expensive. Now that's Pterodon Flyers. That is the one park in the ride that I cannot ride. It is technically a roller coaster, and it is a kiddie coaster that requires an adult to ride with the kids. The other two kiddie coasters in Universal do not require a child. But this one, for whatever reason, a kid can ride by themselves or they can ride with an adult, not both. The Splashdown you just saw, that is part of the River Adventure, Jurassic Park River Adventure. This one you fall from about 80 feet up as a T-Rex comes out and attacks you. So Jurassic Park is another immersively themed area where everything around you looks like you're in Isla Nublar. And other than the River Adventure and the kiddie area, which not only is a roller coaster, right now it is, but normally this is a kids play area called Camp Jurassic. It's a multi-level kind of treehouse playground thing. Something to occupy your kids, especially someone else waiting in line. I would say the merchandise in Jurassic Park is decent, but not even worth looking at. And I'll show you the merchandise for the new Velocicoaster because it is absolutely disappointingly bad. So this is the new stuff. Just nothing I would even wear. In general, outside of Harry Potter stuff and Marvel stuff, they need to up their game on some of the merchandise here for a park with this kind of budget. It looks like they are test running Velocicoaster, the newest ride. Most of the other parks are doing nothing and having roller coasters sit dormant in their parks and not building new rides. This is what Islands of Adventure is doing. They're building a world-class roller coaster, which is pretty crazy. They started building this really during the pandemic, and they're deciding they're going to open it June 10th. So if you have a ticket for June 8th, June 9th, move that back. I would say move it back 2 months because the lines are going to take up your entire day if you're here on June 10th or any time near it. Definitely everyone who lives here is going to be there. And man, they're doing a full test launch of this pretty much all day. Every time I come over here, it is running. Right now, it's running at full speed. 2 or 3 trains at a time with test dummies on it. So cool. I cannot wait to go on. So Jurassic Park just went from one of the most meh areas of the park to, without a doubt, one of the top 2 areas of the park. So up here you can see the wait times. They have these throughout that show you the park hours and the wait times. So yeah, there's a couple ridiculous, 100, 120-minute ones. But for the most part, they were under an hour, which is very surprising. I guess everyone's on the water rides and Kong. And it makes sense that the train for Hogwarts is not very long, because it was in the other park, because people are wanting to get over here. I'm assuming at this point both parks are at capacity, but this one was at capacity a couple hours ago. Well, but even before 10:30 a.m. it was at capacity. So again, I can't stress it enough. I can't tell you how many people don't believe me when I say it. Get here early. If you have multi-day passes or a season pass, you have to get here early if you want to make sure you get in. Plus, it gives you more chances to get on more rides anyway, or you can leave early and go get dinner somewhere. Now, this is one cool thing that Universal does. There's not many of these. I think they should do more. But this is an actual picture spot for basically a controlled selfie. So if you have the photo pass, you just scan your photo pass on this machine here, and then it counts down up there. It tells you 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it takes your picture in front of the Jurassic Park Jeep. This is one of the coolest parts about PhotoPass. And right now, I know the normal price is, I think, $132 for an annual pass for the PhotoPass specifically. But right now, they're doing it for, it was $117 for an entire annual pass, and you can share it with as many people as you're comfortable with sharing your login information. So you can share it with your family, your friends. And $119 is less than the 3-day pass usually is, or $117. And they allow $2 prints with that, or you can actually print them off anywhere you like, including your printer. So they're not restricted. So it's really not that bad, especially if you have a group. It also includes pictures on the roller coasters. It also includes pictures on the roller coasters. It includes the people who get you when you're coming in the park asking you to take a picture. All those pictures are included, and they just scan the card you have. And that's really cool. They scan the card you have and they upload it to the website under your login. So a lot of the time they'll have a bridge over here connecting from here over to Poseidon's Fury, and bypasses Hogsmeade, which is really good for foot traffic. Not sure why they have it closed off right now. Probably something to do with the ride. I was hoping to stand on there because you can see basically the entire Velocicoaster from there. But really cool nonetheless. Look at that hang time.